Oh, god damn it. Literally as soon as we start, I get a fucking ping from my buddy who wants to run dungeons and shit.
Oh, you want to do that?
You know what? Let's actually do that and then record as we go, because it might be interesting.
Oh, yeah, if you want to do that, we can.
Alright.
You don't need voice.
We're doing some fucking cinema verite type shit tonight. I'm gonna pretend like I know what that means.
Okay.
As your World of Warcraft thing.
Oh, not so good.
No? Why is it not so good?
Because it's World of Warcraft.
I think World of Warcraft is okay.
It can be. I am Radish, and who are you?
My name is Duke Herchibald von Hymansbane, and I am a World of Warcraft player.
Yeah, and this is a little different. So this channel, I've been doing these little shorts, and I think they're very cute. But this is more of like a casual conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like, anybody looking at the timestamp realizes this is like a longer one. But yeah, we'll just... Yeah, I just want to talk because I was looking at the calendar, and we're like a month away from the pre-patch for Dragonflight.
It's right around the corner.
And it's like, I think we should do a Postmortem on Shadowlands.
Alright.
And I feel like it's a little funny because there's a lot of negativity. Like, it's easy to poke and it's easy to tear down, and it's not easy to construct. So I always want to give constructive criticism. Mostly Shadowlands, I have trouble giving constructive criticism, and it's like, I don't like it, and I act like a baby.
Hmm.
Do you feel that way?
I don't like most of what they did this expansion, so I'm kind of in the same camp. I would like to think that, you know, our input as players matters to Blizzard, but just, you know, the cynical realist in me is like, they've promised basically every time they announce a new expansion, hey guys, we've totally been listening to what you're saying and we're going to change everything. And they change a little bit, and then they just, like, go back to doing the same shit.
Oh, you know what? I want to ask, when did you start playing WoW? Like, what was your first expansion?
Like, when did I start, like, actually doing content, or when was the first time I logged in?
I want to say, like, if you think of yourself as a WoW player, when did that start?
The first time I started, like, actually playing the game, I think, was in Legion.
Oh, okay. That's right. I keep forgetting, like, I think I kind of hopped on a little bit before you did. I'm used to everyone I know played WoW longer than I have.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I'm like hardcore fucking Legion, baby. I feel the fucking Legion nostalgia every single day. It's unreal.
I am really a mop baby. Like, I started mid-cata, but it's like, I subscribe to that camp that, like, MMOs don't start until you're max level, because endgame content is just completely different than leveling content.
Yeah.
And so it's like, with MOP, it's finally, you know, oh wow, I'm up in these big numbers. Oh, a raid. There's more than 5 people.
Yeah,
you know, that was an experience, but yeah.
I remember being like 14, 15, and then like Cata rolls around and they have like the free trial up to level 20. And I think the first character I ever made was a Tauren Paladin that I named Hellscream because I heard that name and it sounded cool as shit and I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah. I think the first character I rolled was a Draenei.
Oh, hell yeah.
I thought it was like kind of cool how they have horns.
Yeah.
And they look interesting and stuff, and it's like, yeah, you know, why not? So I made a Draenei priest, right?
Yeah.
And the more I learned about Warcraft lore, the more I grew to really hate Draenei.
Why is that?
Because their whole thing is like, they're basically, even their name means like people who run away from their problems and then create problems everywhere they go.
Yeah.
Like, that's their lore, pretty much. It's like they hop planet to planet, crashing their spaceship into worlds and ruining them.
Yeah, they just like go from planet to planet, like lending money and then getting kicked out. It's a really like.
And the orcs that invaded Azeroth literally would never have shown up if the Draenei didn't bring the demons to Draenor.
True.
Which they also named after themselves. Like, they went to the orc homeworld, and it said, we will be blue.
They just called it, like, dirt or something. They didn't have a name for their own planet, because they didn't know there were other planets.
I'm gonna open my vodka, because this is gonna be a Shadowlands talk.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. And so that's the other thing, too. In Shadowlands, guess what I'm maining?
What are you maining?
A Lightforged Draenei.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Because the Lightforged correct all my issues with Draenei, because they're the ones that stayed
around, yeah.
They stick around to fight, and also they're better at everything. Like, they can call in a tactical strike with their spaceship, and
fuck yeah, dude.
They're golden and correct all the time, and it's like, man, I don't know why anyone would pick a regular Draenei unless it's purely for the visuals.
You know what? If they get like a cool heritage set, I'll be down for a regular Draenei. But yeah, my like, because I fucked around. You know, I got to level 20 on my funny little Tauren Paladin guy. And then like after, I think it was like senior year of high school, I was kind of like, you know, not really feeling the whole public education thing. I stopped going to class, and then I just out of curiosity one day I was browsing 4chan and saw World of Warcraft General, and I was like, you know what, it's been a while, I'll fuck around, let's see what's going on. And I download it, and I get into Legion pre-patch, and like the fucking planet is on fire, and there are demons everywhere. Like, entire raids of players are, like, swooping across the sky on their, like, multicolored mounts, creating just this cacophony of color. I was like, holy fuck, dude, this is awesome. And then, like, all the bosses would come down, and everybody would just, like, start exploding. My frame rate would start chugging along because there were so many spells going off. It's like, dude, this game is fucking cool. And then that lasted for maybe a couple of months. And then, like, Legion proper started. It's like, oh, we don't get those anymore, but, you know, that was really cool. Like, now I'm max level, and I'm, like, doing dungeons and shit. And, the first character I made in Legion, was a female undead rogue, because I remember undead rogues were supposed to be really good. Turns out racials don't matter anymore. Kind of fucked around, and I wanted to make a character look like the hugest douchebag possible. And that was a male Blood Elf Paladin, and I've stuck with him ever since, and I love him.
So you're not a newcomer to the Warcraft experience.
No longer.
But you're also not a super veteran, like a lot of people. I used to listen to this one podcast, and the guy would always brag about how he played back when it was just a friends and family alpha.
Oh, dude, the grass was tall, dude.
And also there was like a Statue of Liberty, because they had like a Planet of the Apes reference at one point, and it was more like an inside joke, but he used to have a screenshot of that Statue of Liberty that he wasn't allowed to share with anybody. And he like treasures this screenshot that he can't find anymore. Oh, yeah? Because it was just, like during the alpha? Yeah, and it was just like, it's funny how like Warcraft's kind of special like that, where it's like a thing that you know, it brings us together in a way where it's like, oh, you're also a Marine? Ooh, yeah. Like, you know what, when I was taking my welding course, I actually met a guy who had a big fucking Horde tat on his forearm. And we struck up conversation, and we actually ended up being pretty good buds. I literally thought you were going to say you saw a Marine and he was like that, but no, it's this the actual example. You know, we do actually have a couple of Marines there. I'm like, sure. Yeah. That's a good career path for a lot of those guys. But my point is, you know enough about Warcraft. I think it's funny, too, because I keep thinking you're older than me in, like, Warcraft veteranisms. Because you know more about the game than me. You are older than me, both in real life and also in terms of, like, experience with World of Warcraft. I know next to nothing about, like, the lore side of things. But the game... Yeah, you get the game. Yeah, my buddy's having a hard time getting to Karazhan here. Oh, he says, never mind, I'm stupid. Yeah, we've been fucking waiting for him to get to this dungeon. He's the warlock. He's supposed to be, like, the first one here. Yeah, you're playing WoW right now. You're so hardcore. Yeah, like, I'm going ape on this fucking +10 upper Kara key.
Yeah, for those listening, I am a less than average player. My experience so far this expansion is I have like most of the heroic boss kills. I've got like half of Sepulchre killed, and I have no like mythic kills this season. And that has pretty much been my experience since I started playing in Legion. So if anyone thinks that like I'm an authority on how the game is supposed to be played, just dispelling that illusion now.
And so it's funny, and this is why I wanted to chat with you about it. I don't know what any of those words mean. I'm just like a big lore baby. And so it's like I like to have these two takes on Shadowlands coming from these different it's funny, like we talk a lot, but we have these different points of view, and we almost never play together because like you're so overgeared. I don't think I have a legendary on my main.
Holy cow, dude, that's awesome.
I think I got the belt that you get for free, but like I don't think I have enough gold to buy the thing for the weak legendary, and then let alone the gold it takes to upgrade it to the good legendary or whatever. It's like what we'll talk about that later. I want to go back to the announcement when they gave us that trailer and Sylvanas defeated Bolvar and broke the sky. What did you just think about the announcement?
I honestly didn't care. I saw like, oh, new WoW expansion, because that was like at the end of Battle for Azeroth, and I had already checked out by then because BFA fucking blew. And then my buddies were like, hey man, we're gonna fucking like go hardcore on raiding next expansion, and we need a tank. And I had mained Protection Paladin like since I started. I was like, you know what, sweet. So I got into it. I watched the trailer. I was like, oh cool, like Sylvanas is being badass. I mean, like Bolvar's a fucking loser, but what else is new?
Yeah, I'm like exhausted with Sylvanas. I think a lot of people were in that same boat where like by the end of BFA, it's like, I don't know what her point is. I've read every book and there's like 5 different versions of the character. So I don't know what this means.
I think I've told you about like my lore rewrite that I have going on in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my whole thing is Battle for Azeroth didn't happen. Let's see. At the end of Legion, when Sargeras stabs the planet, like it becomes uninhabitable. Everyone has to go up into space. The Death Knights take their necropoli and like convert them into spaceships that they power with the suffering of demon souls. Paladins get their fucking exodite spaceships they can zip around in. Mages develop spelljammers that they fly with like arcane teleportation magic. And then it's basically just Warhammer 40k at that point. I just ignore everything else that's happened and I pretend that's what's going on, and then it makes all the questing tolerable for me.
So I want to ask about the name Shadowlands. Like, did you know that was a term already?
Yeah, you have a little thing in the Death Knight starting quest where you have to go into the Shadowlands to get your demonic steed.
That's right. That's also where you go when you die. Like, in-game, when you die and the screen goes, you have to do your corpse walk.
Yeah, when you die and you look up in the sky, there's a big swirly fucking thing. It's like a big vortex, and like that's what the sky looks like. It's like you see past the illusion. And that's what Sylvanas does when she breaks the Helm of Domination and shatters the sky. Like it's an illusion that's been cast on our planet.
So I feel like, as someone that likes to get into like the lore and the roleplay, when they announced a Shadowlands expansion, my immediate fear was like, please stop explaining mystical things, because it's like that was actually the problem I had in Legion, was like the way they bring all the priests under one order. Yeah, and it's like we all agree on everything, and it's like I don't think that's how the priests work. And then all the paladins are one order, and it's like they have like there's a room where Tauren are allowed to be in.
Yeah,
and it's like they are not paladins. Like Sunwalkers are not paladins.
Yeah, they're druids. They just worship the sun.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird to me the way they've been like kind of readjusting what these classes mean, because it used to be you make a character and then you're sort of limited by the class you pick, but really you're making a character. And now everything feels a lot more cookie cutter, and it's like, you are the mighty paladin character. You might be an orc or not, I don't care. But here's your steed, it is a human horse, and here's your human armor.
Yeah, it's like, in fucking D&D, right? You make a dwarf cleric, and the combination of those two things makes you a slightly different thing, right?
Right.
So, like, in Classic, when you were a troll priest, you were like a witch doctor. That was your thing. Or, you know, if you were a fucking, what do you call it? Draenei paladin, you were an exodite, which made you a little bit different from the typical flavor paladin. Or the blood knight, like the fucking iconic blood elf thing. Like, if you're a blood elf paladin, then you are from the blood knight order. Like, by selecting those two things, it makes you, like, a unique thing.
Yeah, so, like, and that's out.
Yeah.
We're doing a Shadowlands expansion, and it's like, I don't want this to turn into, like, Greek mythology, where, like, you can go to Hades if you just find the right cave and walk down it. And you can pay the guy, and he'll put you on a boat. And also, you can just walk over, you can talk to Hades and negotiate with him. And if you just put wax in your ear, then you solve his riddle. Like, I don't want that in Warcraft. I want things that are, like, removed. And it's so, when they announced what the Shadowlands was, and, like, here, we're going to explain all the machinations and all the weird loopholes that we present, well, guess what? They're all canon, and you have to deal with it.
Yeah, I can honestly see the value of having both. Like, when you are a max level character and you're doing those raids, like, you are, like, the Godbuster, you know? You are operating at that level where you could conceivably, like, talk to Zeus and go, hey man, chill out. Or fucking give Hades a wedgie or some shit. But on the same token, like...
I really, really hate it. I hate it so much that, like, conceptually, the machinations of all life in the universe and all, like, energy of all of reality is falling apart. Because the gods that oversee it are being apparently tricked in a way that we, as a level 90 orc, can recognize.
Yeah, there was
I am but Uga 5, and I have a stick, and I'm going to go hit 5 wolves with my stick, and that'll solve the Shadowlands.
Thank you for saving me, level boosted Goblin Shaman. Here's the Doom Hammer. I'm retiring now.
So, yeah, I like the idea in, like, if you go to Wrath, it's like, canonically, like, we didn't defeat the Lich King. Like, a more important NPC did. And it's like, and also canonically, and in-game, a lot of people never even saw the Lich King. It's like, wow, I'll never climb that tower, it's amazing. And then one day, Rodan, the Godzilla monster, came, and he said, attention, citizens of Dalaran, the Lich King has been felled, and we all cheered.
Like, if you're just some schmuck who's oh fuck, hold on, I went the wrong way. If you're just some schmuck, like, why do I care about this fucking guy? Why does it matter to me?
Man, I love this vodka. So yeah, when they they announced Shadowlands, they talked about what it was going to be about. Narratively, I was disappointed, but also, I mean, at least it wasn't BFA anymore, so I was willing to.
A lot of people's sentiment.
I think the other part of the announcement, and let's get into the mechanics, was they're explaining the Covenant system.
Yeah, the new borrowed power thing you have to fucking deal with.
And Covenant seemed like one of those things where, like, Legion artifact weapons. On paper, I see why they're cool. In practice, I didn't like them. With the Covenants, on paper, they seem terrible. And it's like, guys, are you sure? And they said, don't trust us, it's going to be great. And it turned out exactly what it looked like on paper.
Yeah.
No one was surprised.
Yeah, and then they had, like, the whole, like, the ripcord thing where, like, you wouldn't be able to change your Covenants as easily. And they were like, you know, at any time, we can just pull that ripcord, it's not a big deal. And then they just never fucking did. And they finally did, like finally they relented to fucking player request, and you're able to change, but it's still, like, you have to fucking, do the quest line for the Covenant to get all your shit. You know, it's not something you can just swap between for raid, which honestly would be the way that I would do it. Holy fuck, dude, we were just ass pulling like crazy. Sorry. I'm parsing. Yeah,
I just wish that the abilities were balanced a little better.
Yeah, like, I really dug the Venthyr Covenant, because, you know, if I'm gonna deal with this fucking thing, I want to pick the one that I think looks the coolest, and have that, you know, not totally troll the raid, you know? Like, if I pick a Venthyr Paladin, and then I go do a Mythic Plus, like, I am so much less effective than if I had gone Kyrian, because Paladin currently in the patch is balanced around the most powerful thing. And if you aren't using that, then you're gimping yourself. It's not like it doesn't, you know... Realistically, the group isn't going to wipe because you are a Venthyr Paladin, but you're not going to be anywhere near successful. And people are going to be mad at you because, like, why aren't you using the best thing and letting us get through the content quicker by, you know, we're all playing the same game. We're all, like, doing as much as we can to get our numbers really big. And the fact that you're not feels shitty to us. And that shouldn't be the case. Like, it's an MMO. You're paying $15 a month in addition to the fucking cost of the expansion. You should be allowed to play whatever the fuck you want to play, you know?
Yeah. And I think very funny about the concept, going back to what you said about how they didn't want you to change a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you should pick one and you should dedicate yourself to it. And it's like, okay, yeah, but if I pick one and then it turns out after a patch I picked the wrong one because you changed it on me.
Yeah. It, like, they want the decision to be meaningful, and I get that, but you're giving us the opportunity to gimp our characters.
It's just very odd. I want to ask, do you remember launch day? Like, do you remember what you first thought when you, like, started day one Shadowlands?
What did I first think day one Shadowlands? I thought, this Maw quest line is taking forever. Just get me to level 60. This Covenant quest line is taking forever. Oh, hey, Kael'thas, cool. And then I got to 60, and I was like, crafting my legendary is such a fucking pain in the ass. Why does this take so long? And I don't think there was a point, like, in the solo shit that I had to do before raid where I felt like, oh man, this is really cool. I only really started having fun once we actually started pulling the bosses.
So, like, none of the zones stuck out to you, like I've fallen in love with the giant bone zone.
I actually did quite like Maldraxxus. I liked Revendreth. Holy fuck, dude, people are getting owned. Let's see. Night Phase Zone is kind of cool. Oh my god, dude, why? Why are you being like this? Sorry, people are dying and I'm trying to stay alive as much as I possibly can. I am fucking pogging out. What was I talking about?
The zones, did they make a good impression?
The zones, there was a couple of oh, fucking, god damn it, people. There were a couple, alright. I don't really have... I don't know that I have a favorite. And, at least in Legion, I had a couple that were like, oh man, this place kicks ass. Battle for Azeroth actually had, like, a couple of really cool-looking zones. But none of the quests were super memorable. I didn't really care about any of the characters. And the designs weren't super unique like what we might have seen in other expansions. But I'm also weird, and I'm like the one guy who liked Frostfire Ridge in, what do you call it? Warlords of Draenor.
I like that too.
Yeah, I grew up on, like, fucking Conan comics and, like, pulp fantasy and shit, so I love, like, the cheesy bullshit.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I honestly... Warlords, I feel like, gets a bad rap. and there were flaws, but man, like there's stuff about it that a lot of times when I'm making an alt right now, I chromie time to warlords and I just enjoy the zones.
A lot of people do, yeah. If there wasn't a 6-month gap between the final patch of Warlords and Legion, I think it would have gone over a lot better.
I think if they didn't cut some of that stuff, apparently, like there was some stuff they talked about at BlizzCon, and there's some like rumors of things behind the scenes that got cut. And it's like, this would have been a cool expansion.
Yeah, like there was supposed to be an Auchendoon raid, which would have been cool as shit. A Shatroth raid, which would have been awesome because like people who went to Shatroth back in what do you call it?
Burning.
Yeah, during Burning Crusade, like that would have been cool to have that like reworked and go, oh, I remember this part, and like have a bunch of cool boss fights in there.
Now, this was supposed to be a Shadowlands retrospective here.
Oh,
but the fact that we keep bringing up other expansions is actually quite telling that we have little to talk about in Shadowlands.
Yeah.
I want to talk about my day one was like the whole thing about Shadowlands. Like, Bolvar's on the box.
Yeah.
We're going to the place where, like, Death Knights get their power from, and where the Helm of Domination and the Frostborn came from. And, like, this is going to be a great Death Knight expansion. We got we got all the stuff, like, building up towards it. Legion had a great Death Knight storyline. There was a short story leading up to it, and it's like, I'm going to play this right. I'm going to play my Death Knight.
Yeah.
And I loved how it starts when it's time to begin, that message comes up and Morgraine's there and he's like, Death Lord, we need you to come here now because Bolvar needs our help. He's the Lich King and you are the chosen rider.
Yeah,
and it's like, I'm on my way.
You're still the Death Lord from Legion.
Yeah. And Bolvar's like giving this speech about how like this is what happened, and we have to stop Sylvanas before she ruins all of death and life, and the Death Lord will assist in this ritual, and you do that thing where you have you're handling pieces of the Helm of Domination,
yeah, dude,
which is a thing that no one should touch, and it's like you're the only one that can like carry them into these spots for the ritual to open a gate. And Bolvar's talking about how he's going to send in his Death Knights to stop Sylvanas and figure out what's going on, and this is going to be very dangerous, so no one else can come. And then Taronda's like, Cowabunga, dude, and she jumps in, like, no, Taronda, it's dangerous. Yeah, and dude. It was like, oh, this is so cool. And then after that, Death Knights don't come up at all, ever.
Yeah, dude, like,
and Bolvar does not do anything.
Dude, at 9.1, I thought they were gonna, like, oh, holy fuck, I just got owned, holy shit, alright, come here. Alright, Soulstone, we're back in the game. I really thought, holy fucking Christ, dude, I'm getting fucking destroyed. Something, dude, fucking hell. What was I talking about?
You said that you thought Death Knights would be cool in 9.1.
Oh, yeah, there was the whole thing with Korthia, and then they didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's not cool.
No, it's not cool. I don't like it.
And it's like, I can't get over it. And so here's the other thing. Like, I was enjoying the build up there, and then it's like I wasn't really enjoying the unholy rotation right now.
Oh, yeah,
like,
you were unholy guy.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm going to try some of my other classes and see how they're doing in the new expansion, right? So I hop on like my paladin, and it's like Morgraine's there, and he's like, champion, Bolvar needs your help. And I'm like, why? And then Bolvar has me do the ritual with the helm.
Yeah, like, I'm like,
why? And then it's like, only Death Knights will go in, but also this one paladin.
Yeah, also this one paladin, and then like a million other fucking people. Like, I feel like they phoned it in.
At some point, my daughter will just wander through this portal somehow.
Oh, we're doing a big pull, people. Oh, Jesus. I really wish people would stop fucking ass pulling. It's a +10. I don't expect them to be very good. That's okay. Yeah, so, like, why is this entire raid group of guys here in Revendreth, if supposedly it's really dangerous and only a chosen few thousand million can come in?
There's also, like, not to dwell on the story or the loopholes or whatever, like, I know a lot of this stuff is intentionally ambiguous to make room for, like, whatever, just the game has to work,
Yeah.
But like, there's a point where they talk about how there's a prophecy of a Mawwalker.
Yeah.
And you are the only person from Azeroth that opens that gate. And then later, they kind of retcon it in, like, 9.2, where they talk about all the Mawwalkers that have come from Azeroth so far. In, like, a weird throwaway line, where it's like, oh, I thought I was special.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
And
okay, this druid is just pulling for me. That's why people are dying. All right.
Yeah, and it's confusing how... I don't know how to put it. I prefer not being the main character of the story, but if they want to write it that way, it's fine. But you have to actually write it that way. And I thought Legion did a better job, where it's like you got a title, and like Khadgar will call you out by your title. Like he'll say, Archerridge, we need you. And it's like, you know, at least narratively it's cohesive. I had no idea, like with BFA, I never got a clear answer. Is there only one Heart of Azeroth, or did he hand out like a million of these?
You know, I don't think it was ever made clear.
Yeah,
because like there was a Heart of Azeroth, and then there was also the fucking what do you call it? The legendary cape you got from Wrathion,
right?
And like I think that one was supposed to be unique, but fucking everybody's walking around with it. I mean, I guess it's sort of the same thing. Like, you know, there's only one like Ashbringer, or you know, there's only like one Ashkandi, and like, you know, every paladin gets that. So I think it's just another one of those abstractions you just have to tolerate.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if they would at least say in the story what it is or isn't. Like, I mean, I'm assuming you never really got into Final Fantasy, right? It's too anime for you?
Yeah, it was too anime for me. Also, like, it kept wanting me to talk to the midgets, and I didn't want to talk to them, so I just quit.
I really like how they do the story there. Functionally, Final Fantasy XIV is a single-player game, and it has an MMO multiplayer mode if you want to play it.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, yeah, it is a Final Fantasy game.
Okay.
But what they do, like, quite often, they will acknowledge that you don't do things by yourself. It's like, oh, champion, we need you to save the day. Will you please gather some allies you trust and enter this raid? And, like,
clever.
they'll do little things like that, and they'll acknowledge, oh, you and your friends are so great.
You know, like, WoW used to do that.
Yeah, they used to, because they were, like, conscious of it, and now the writers don't... I don't think they... And I don't know if anyone plays the game there. Like, when player feedback is really simple, and, like, oh, the first thing I noticed was this happens, and, like, oh, interesting, you use your keyboard.
Yeah. Like, I think... because you used to be able to... Because the developers had a guild, and you could check their guild and see what their progress was like and see what bosses they've downed.
Right.
I think the only one you can do that for is Lore and Ian, and I don't think they're that far ahead.
Yeah.
I don't think they've killed Mythic Jailer.
Oh man, you know, I want to talk about like Final Fantasy spoilers and tell you this really cool moment, but let's talk about Shadowlands more.
Oh, okay, all right.
We'll talk more after the show. I'm enjoying our chat. But yeah, that was Shadowlands. How about that 9.1? Was that a good patch?
I didn't play 9.1.
Okay, that's disappointing because I didn't either. Yeah. Like I was so burnt out, and this is coming from a nerd that made a VR chat avatar about Warcraft and a YouTube channel about Warcraft because I love Warcraft so much.
It's grim, isn't it? Yeah, you told me we were going to talk about 9.1, and I was like, I did not fucking play that shit. So I asked some friends, and you know, we complain about borrowed power systems, and those are bad enough, but now you get them like mid expansion, like with the fucking what do you call it? Yeah, like people, like where are the traps? There we go. Yeah, so you get the mid expansion with the fucking like domination gems, like whatever the fuck those were about. Like what would happen is you would a piece of gear would drop, and it was a domination piece, and it would have like domination sockets that you filled with domination gems, and like those gems would give you buffs in the raid. But why wouldn't they just make tier gear? So they did, and now the domination gems aren't a thing anymore. So like, whereas before you would get like multiple tier sets in an expansion that you could mix and match and like make an interesting character build out of, No longer the case. You get one piece or one tier that you get to play around with, and that's it. Because they just fucking axed what came before.
What about I realized we missed something else. What was your opinion on Torghast?
It was cool the first time I did it, and then it just turned into a fucking piece of shit chore that you have to do every day if you want to, keep your character geared. People, stop getting owned! Fucking Christ, sorry. Yeah, our healer's dead because he's fucking bad. Yeah, it was cool at the start. Became a chore. They introduced the boss rush mode, which is really cool. Like, I like that. Let's see.
I think the concept is cool, and I want to see them iterate on it. But like, you nailed it with the word chore.
Yeah. They added more powers, and that made it a little more interesting, which is cool, which is good. Like you said, if they had iterated on it more, if they just expanded it,
it is so hit and miss depending on what your class is.
Yeah, it's more fun in groups of 3 to 5, in my opinion, because that's the way me and my buddies did it. Was we formed groups. Dude, these people are getting fucking wiped. Holy shit.
Wait, okay, I'm sorry. Can you do Torghast with groups?
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, so like you group up, and then it's a little more fun because like you get a tank.
I'm the stupidest person in the world.
You get a tank and like 2 DPS, and you're golden.
Okay, I would imagine that's a lot more fun. Wow.
Right.
Okay, because I was gonna say, like, when I was playing on my Death Knight, some of the powers you get are unreal. Like, I love there's one you get where that Death Gate you can use to like Hearthstone back.
Yeah.
It replaces it with a spell where you open your Death Gate and a Horseman comes through.
Oh, that's sick.
And you can stack that. So there was a point where I was fighting one of the bosses, but I had Morgraine and Whitemane.
Oh, sweet.
And they fight on their horses, and I had an army of undead, and I'm using the Apocalypse ability for more undead.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is the best, like, this is what I wanted at launch, was like, I am in the domain of death. I've trained my entire existence for this moment, and I am plowing these bosses, like, left and right. And it's just like, wow, this is the best. And I hopped on my mage, and I could not finish, like, the starter level.
Yeah.
It was so bad. Like, I'm sure there's some abilities that give you neat perks, but it's like the stuff I was getting was like one more mirror image. Like, thank you.
Yeah, when you get like a really good build rolling in Torghast, like it feels fucking awesome. Because like you feel
Demon
smart.
Hunters.
Because you've like combined powers. Like you get one, I'm like, oh, you know what? This one would ordinarily be really strong on its own. But if I take this one, it's going to combo better with this one that I got from the last 4. And so you're building your character on the fly, and you're doing big number, and it feels fun. But you do not, like, as soon as you come out of Torghast, you feel, like, shrimpy and lame. And I wish, like, the rest of the game felt like you were playing a Torghast character.
Did you play Demon Hunter?
I fucked around with Demon Hunter when it first came out. I don't think I ever rated or did content on it.
So one of the cooler upgrades you get in Torghast is it makes your metamorphosis bigger.
Oh yeah?
And so you can turn into a raid boss where like you're extending the length of time you spend big, but you're also just huge and you're doing a lot more damage and you have bigger range on your AoE. And so sweet. It's just like you enter a room and there's a bunch of like, the soul slaves doing their work or whatever. And one of them's like, who is that? And then I'm like, I am my scars. And I tear the whole room apart.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's just, oh man. So there's moments where like I'm able to pull select happy memories. And I'm doing that Harry Potter thing where I collect them in like a big old jug of Gatorade.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm trying to find the ones, but I have a very small handful of positive memories. Do you want to talk about 9.2?
You know what? I have a little bit more to say about 9.2 because I'm actually playing it right now. Well, technically,
I think 9.2 was weird because I want to say players fall into 3 camps.
Yeah.
I think there's the people that said, I've had enough, I'm waiting for the next one. There's the people that said, I've put up with it so far, I'll keep going. And then there's the people like me where it's like, it's like Stockholm Syndrome, like my brain broke, and it's like, I don't have any standards anymore. I'm now happy for no reason.
Yeah, it's I see a lot of that on the general is like people just, accepting that it's fucking stupid and just playing anyways because they know there's nothing they can do for it.
But you can walk on water.
Yeah, just psychotic optimism.
Okay, so you go ahead and share your 9.2 observations, I guess.
It is better than what I was playing before.
Wow!
If nothing, they have improved the expansion, but not by a lot. Let's see. What else? I like that legendaries and tier gear is back. My character feels strong. It feels fun to play. The raid is cool. I really like the fucking what's the big spider boss that you fight? Like it walks around and you have to like follow it. I thought that was really cool.
That was an interesting mechanic, yeah. I wanted to mention too. Like with Shadowlands, I've barely done any LFR.
Yeah.
Like this is the first time that I haven't even looked at the raids.
Oh yeah?
I have not seen, what was it, Castle,
yeah.
Whatever, the Hearthstone expansion. I did not see a single boss in that one.
Nather was really fun. Me and my buddies have plenty of funny sludge fist memes, so it was pretty good.
I did check in on a couple things here and there. You know what with Sludge Fist?
Yeah.
Apparently, there's a bit of a rumor that he was going to be Garrosh.
Really?
Yeah, they were going to write the story a little different, and it would have been like a rage-infused Garrosh that you have to like fight off.
That would have been pretty sweet.
Yeah, they decided to not do that, and I think that's why that one guy made that cutscene where he dies, because it's like, he deserves a little more than nothing. Mm. But, yeah, so I saw a couple fights in the second raid.
Mm.
Again, only LFR difficulty. I tried Sylvanas, and that's impossible on LFR.
Yeah, you
need to get into a normal.
Yeah,
where people are going to like communicate.
Yeah. Like normal, heroic, it's a little more doable. Like randoms on fucking LFR are not going to kill Sylvanas.
Yeah, the final one, I did enjoy the Anduin fight.
Yeah, Anduin fight was pretty cool. It's a little more fun on heroic, I think.
Yeah,
because it's got a lot more going on.
And cinematically too. Like it's a neat thing. It's a neat moment. The jailer fight, I didn't even understand what was going on. Like mechanically, lore wise, it's like, what does any of this have to do with the jailer? Like this could have been any boss, and not the finale, and it would have been the same.
Yeah, in my mental lore rewrite for Shadowlands, Sylvanas was actually the final boss, and like she's properly dead. Anduin is like a pretender Lich King now. He's somewhere in the cosmos wreaking havoc. Bolvar is having a hard time keeping the Scourge in control because he's out there somewhere, and he's going to come back at some point. But now the Scourge is an issue again, so we can go back to having them as a threat.
With your like basic fanfiction version, it's like, and there's things to work with moving forward narratively. Yeah. We didn't just completely ruin characters entirely and then close the book on all of them, so we have nothing to work with now.
Yeah, so Anduin does like the funny Arthas smirk and then like opens a death portal and escapes. Sylvanas is properly dead. Jailer, he was just a fucking clown. So he gets fucked. He's dead though. He was like, I would make him like second to last boss of the raid. And then Sylvanas was like trying to play him to become Arbiter and like break the cycle of life and death because of her reasons, because she's a fucking psychotic bitch. And
okay,
you know what?
I want to talk canon.
Yeah.
What did you think about the Jailer finale?
I didn't watch it. I skipped every cutscene because I knew it was gonna suck. So yeah, I have
Herchibald, you truly are the Shadowlands winner. You're the only one who played it correctly.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be lame. I had no faith in it, and like if I had watched any of the cutscenes, they would have just made me mad.
So, do you know what happens?
I don't. And I honestly don't know if I want to.
Okay, should I keep my mouth shut?
It's your podcast. You do what you want.
So, what happens is, as the jailer's like dying, I still don't understand how we killed him because I thought he was like more powerful than all the other gods put together.
Yeah.
As he's dying, he has like flashbacks to back when he was jailed.
Yeah.
Because also bear in mind, he's not the jailer; he's the one that was jailed. Like they like retconned this halfway through because I think they were working with 2 or 3 different possible stories and they didn't decide on one.
That's really dumb, but all right.
And so when the other 4, because they used to be like equals, and the jailer was the arbiter.
Yeah.
And so when they said, "Oh, jailer, we don't want you to be arbiter anymore, so we sentence you to the maw because you've been judging too harshly or something." And so he has this flashback where like he's beaten by them and he's looking up at them and the last words they said before they were separated. Mm. And it's like he's having this flashback while his body is falling apart because he's turning back into a robot.
Oh, he's
also
back
bear in
the
mind,
Bionicle, yeah.
Yeah, all the gods are literally just artificial robots and they're not actual things. And it's like he's fading away to robotness. And he's trying to say something, and he says, like, "Oh, if you've seen what I've seen, I could have stopped what is to come."
Yeah,
and then like us. Before he can finish his thought, and so he's just like, after I finish the boss, and his dumb bionicle body is like sitting there. The rest of the LFR group all got their loot, and they left, and I was the last person in the room, and I like RP walked over in front of him and sat in front of the corpse, and I sat there for a while thinking about how bad this story was. I was like, I feel so like melancholy looking at this sad puppet.
Yeah,
and it's like I've been waiting for this thing to entertain me, and it was just a puppet all along.
Yeah,
and it's like I am the fool. They pranked me.
You were the Shadowlands all along.
I was the Shadowlands. I feel bad. Now, what's funny is I complained about that. What's to follow was 2 cutscenes I thought were good.
Mm.
Did you do the like finale with Sylvanas?
There was a bit where like you had to walk with her and what's his nuts, and then something happened with that. I don't remember what that is. I also skipped that cutscene.
Yeah, so Sylvanas gets sentenced to the maw, where her job is to save everyone that she's sentenced to the maw, right?
Okay.
I think that's a hilariously cruel sentence for all the people in the maw that could really use an army to save them right now, but they have to wait for one woman to do it single-handedly.
Yeah, that sounds like... What is your job again, Arbiter?
So anyways... Oh, and also, the Arbiter didn't make that decision, Tyrande did.
God damn it! Why?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's stupid. And moving on, there's a bonus cutscene where Anduin goes to visit Sylvanas in the maw because he doesn't feel right about this either.
Okay.
He after what he went through, he kind of understands some of what Sylvanas went through.
Yeah, like
on
they had
a smaller
a couple
scale.
Of tender moments together. Like
yeah,
he realized
and it was
that,
payoff.
Yeah,
it's like the things they touched on, they acknowledged that those happened, and it was actually a very nice scene that we hadn't seen in a while. I'm like, oh, well, I'm surprised this happened at all. This is pretty good. It was a good cutscene. They also did another thing with Kalia Menethil helping to restore Lordaeron.
Yeah, that's supposed to be a thing in the lore now.
Yeah, she, like, the whole, like, the plague that's ruining Lordaeron can't be cured, but it's like, wait a minute. In the Shadowlands, they're the greatest plague masters in the world. They know how to clean up a bad plague. And so, now that there's this new resource to use, they ask for help there, they get a solution, and they're, like, beginning work on that. And it felt reasonable, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, they're actually, like, thinking this through a bit. And I hope that what happened behind the scenes is whoever's writing those cutscenes are the people working on the game right now.
Yeah.
Because Shadowlands, I think, came out at a bad time where there was a lot of behind the scenes turmoil, not just the scandal stuff and the lawsuit stuff, but it's like even without that, there seemed to be a lot of moving seats. And I think that maybe things have like evened out a bit by now. And I'm hoping that the people working on Dragonflight aren't getting their breast milk stolen out of the fridge.
You know,
metaphorically.
Right. They're not having their lunch eaten, so to speak. There was a really good bit from Matt Stone and Trey Parker of South Park fame where they talk about how they write their bits for every episode. And they worked out a little rule for themselves where if you come up with a joke and then the thing after that is, and then this happens, you're fucked. So you want to make sure that you go, this happens, therefore this happens, and because that happens, this happens. And make sure each thing is leading into the other. You do not get that in the current fucking thing. Hold on, let me fucking boop boop. Give me that. Yeah, it's like all of the events feel super disjointed because there's like a million writers working on this shit. Nobody really knows what they're doing. Let's, god damn it. And the story feels shit because there is no story to tell. You know, they're just like an assortment of events.
You know, I'm looking forward to in Dragonflight is they're not even pretending there's a story. They're like, "Hey guys, do you like dragons?" We're like, "Yeah," and they said pre-order today.
Yeah. You know what? Anything could happen. So I'm gonna stay optimistic. You know?
Yeah, I'm not. What's the word? I felt pretty bad at the end of BFA, and I remember thinking, "Man, I want this expansion over. This was such a disappointment." And then Shadowlands came out, and it's like, okay, Monkey Paw, you tricked me the last 3 times, but I know this time you're not illegally allowed to trick me.
Yeah.
And then they announced a dragon expansion. I'm like, thank you, Monkey Paw, and the finger curled extra tight, so I know this time it's being sincere.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude, get out of Karazhan! Get out of Karazhan! Get out now!
Is that the new Hearthstone expansion?
No, I'm trying to fucking do dungeons with my buddy, but he's not very smart.
Attention, citizens of Azeroth. Medivh's holding a beach party. Get out of Karazhan and into the sun this summer.
Yeah. Hold on. There we go.
Man, do you play Hearthstone?
I played a little bit back in the day. It was pretty cool.
I'm getting sick of Hearthstone lore becoming real lore in Warcraft.
What is that?
I think the cute stuff in Hearthstone is cute because it's in Hearthstone.
Okay.
And so it's like, when they keep making this stuff canon in WoW, it takes away from the cuteness of Hearthstone, because then it's just like, well, yeah, that's a thing. Like, you know Reno Jackson?
I do not know Reno Jackson.
He's kind of like this really cool Indiana Jones archaeologist adventurer guy, okay?
Yeah. Is this a real person, or...?
No, this is a Hearthstone character.
Okay.
And he's really cool, and he's kind of dumb.
Right.
And so it's just like, you know, like, I'll take the gold treasure. Adventure. And no, Reno, you activated the trap. We gotta get out of here. Whoa! That kind of a thing.
Wacky hijinks, yeah.
Wacky hijinks. So, whatever. He's a cute character. He's a fun card. He's a fun recurring character. Every time you see him come back in another Hearthstone expansion, it's like, wow, that Reno Jackson's at it again. And he started showing up in WoW. And he doesn't do anything important, but it's like, oh, look, the League of Explorers, they added the Murloc, and they added Reno Jackson, and whatever. And it's like, okay, whatever. In Hearthstone, canonically, Reno Jackson is a dragon.
Alright.
And this is introduced because he has amnesia, because he's stupid. And so he has dragon powers. Mm-hmm. And he was in his Visage form, and he forgot how to transform. And so he just forgot he was a dragon. And became an explorer. And canonically in Hearthstone, he came to this realization when he got exposed to some like dragon magic and became dragony. Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, I always dreamed of being a dragon ever since I used to sleep in an egg before I was born. And it's like, it's a cute comedy line, but it's like, I don't want that character in WoW.
Yeah.
I'm half concerned with like some of the quests that have leaked so far look really cringy, and then some of them look like they're appropriately Warcrafty.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, Shadowlands is really rough. I don't expect them to, like, 180 and make the best expansion ever. But it also feels like there's nowhere else to go but up.
I think, yeah, like, World of Warcraft, because it is such a big game, just, like, in terms of scope, you know? I think I was telling you about this. Like, it needs to, you know, not only accommodate multiple styles of play, but also, like, multiple styles of story. Like, you have your big world-ending threats every expansion, and you have to make stories on that level, and then you have to also fill out all the quests in those zones for people to level up in. And those are, like, super small-scale problems that you have to solve. But also, there's, like, you know, people who aren't even involved with the expansion yet because they just got into the game, and they're, like, in fucking, what do you call it? The Outlands, you know, doing quests there. They have no idea what's going on. I think trying to craft a narrative that accommodates all of that is really difficult, even for a good writing team.
It is. It is difficult, and I want to say, too, like, I complain about some of the weird plot holes or some of the silly stuff. It's not that WoW was always serious or something, and I'm misremembering it. Like, I refer to it as the He-Man MMO.
Yeah! Like,
it's just that when you watch He-Man, it's easy to tell who the bad guy is, and it's satisfying when the good guy defeats the bad guy because he hit him with a bigger sword.
You know,
and
like, people...
in Shadowlands, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, people want World of Warcraft to be Game of Thrones, and it doesn't have to be, you know?
It can be Season 8 of Game of Thrones.
It can be Season 8 of Game of Thrones. It can be Jon Snow kisses the princess and becomes the king, and then everyone lives happily ever after. It can be that, and it's fine. Like, people want super complex, like, morally gray characters. Have you seen the fucking guy complaining about, like, all the quests where you just slaughter gnolls?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so, like, for those who do not know, there is a very fine gentleman on the Twitters who, I think he's just a little misguided. I don't think he's being malicious. Who has a problem with, you know, players being tasked with slaughtering these hyena creatures who eat babies and make their tents out of human skin. And he took umbrage with one of the quests where you are put in charge of killing 20 of them. And everyone else, I think, rightfully called him out on this, because they think it's all silly. Because World of Warcraft is a dumb video game for babies. And he was looking for, like, morally complex, you know, why is my, you know, character doing this or that? And on some level, I can see that being an important question to ask, especially if you are big in the roleplay scene. And, like,
and, you know, I'm reminded of, this goes back to Wrath, but I know there have been some people that have never played a Death Knight because they can't do the quest where you have to go kill 20 innocent civilians.
Really? All right.
Yeah, there's, like, a part during the tutorial where it's mandatory, where, like, the Lich King tells you, my Death Knights go out and kill, and so you have to, like, you raid a village.
Yeah.
And one of the quests is just, like, kill 20 people. And, like, you can walk into the inn, and there's people sleeping, and it's like the Lord of the Rings when the writers, like, go into the inn and start stabbing all the pillows. It's like you're literally working for the most evil thing on the planet right now.
Yes,
and you're a possessed undead monster, and people can't do that quest, so they never play Death Knight. And I remember when they added the allied races. If you make an allied race Death Knight, you don't do the tutorial.
Huh.
You get a new tutorial with Bolvar, where it's just, you're there at ICC, and there's a bunch of Death Knights, and Bolvar says, you were recently raised, young Pandaren. Come forth, and I grant you the title of Death Knight, and you get, like, a new cosmetic item, where you get, like, that's how you get these, like, new HD Death Knight swords.
Ah, okay.
So you actually, I recommend to anyone out there that hasn't, make a light forged Death Knight and just do that opening sequence, and you'll get the transmog. And you'll see how lame it is. But also, you don't do any questing. And you're not asked to do anything evil. And so when that feature came out, I saw a comment on a forum once where people were like, oh, finally, I don't have to kill the innocent people. I can't wait to try a Death Knight. I've been waiting for years.
There's a cynical part of me that thinks they aren't being completely genuine when they say that kind of shit.
I think there's like a total of 8 of those people in the world.
Yeah.
I think those 8 people exist.
I feel like those are the kind of people who have said in their lifetime, I'm a good person.
Yes.
That's the kind of person that they are.
Oh, totally. But it's just, I think it's interesting, like, I remember once, there was some politician that was like she had a thing in her campaign ad that she plays World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And what was funny was she said, like, yeah, here's my character.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
And it was like, I play an undead rogue, and I'm level 67.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that suggests that you play for 10 minutes a day, or that you stopped at 67. Yeah. Like, there's no reason to say, this is my mighty level.
Yeah, no, but
nobody... Like, you level up so fast.
There are no, like, level 48 Mohawks anymore, you know?
Right. It's a different game. And it's just like, I think that there's some people that are they're in the minority, but they play the game very casually, or they take their time with certain aspects.
I think that's totally fine. I think that's like a completely valid way to play the game, you know? To
a degree, yeah. And I sometimes I wonder, like, am I in the wrong by taking it too seriously? But then I'll see someone like try to roleplay as a high elf.
Yeah.
Because they're like they're in Orgrimmar. I'm like, no, I'm not a blood elf, I'm a high elf. And then everyone will say, well, then get out of here. And like, why? It's just, I don't know, it's weird. Okay, so Postmortem Shadowlands. Great expansion or best expansion?
There was not a second during my game time where I was not cumming my brains out.
I think it was bad.
Dude,
I think that
when I saw Darth Vader, I clapped.
I clapped.
I clapped when I saw Darth Vader.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing. There were a lot of like random like callback characters and stuff, and then nothing comes of any of it.
Yeah, like Bane Bloodhoof, whose father was wrongfully killed by Garrosh in a duel where he cheated, goes to the Shadowlands. This is a guy who has like very strong convictions about like the afterlife and how it's supposed to work. Sits in a corner. Like literally sits down in a corner and says, "For Azeroth" at the end.
So I recorded this for a bit that I don't think is going to make it to a video, so I'll just share it here. But there's a sequence where when you first save Bane in Torghast, he follows you. And I was able to get him to follow me around, and so like the NPC's physically like following along with you. So I went to Oribos, and instead of turning in the quest, I like jumped around in the lobby so that he would be like running around jumping with me.
Yeah.
And other people came over and were jumping with me because they just saw me jumping in a circle. and so I have this footage of me running around and playing with Bane Bloodhoof. And I was going to do a bit where it's like, it was like a guide to Shadowlands. Like, you know, when you get your pet Bane, make sure to take him out for some exercise and play with him, because he's not going to get a lot of exercise if you leave him at home.
Yeah, I like that.
And like, it was like, it was kind of depressing, so I ended up not using the bit, because it's like, I don't even want to think about this too much.
Yeah, it's like, you generally try to lean more positive in your videos, I think. I feel like that one is very much like a fucking, like, Asmongold tier dig at Shadowlands.
And so, emotionally, and from my personal taste, from concept, I hate the idea of going to the Shadowlands. So I was like prepared to not enjoy this expansion, and I've spent a lot of time not subbed, which is like atypical for me. And so it's like, yeah, this is pretty bad. But when everybody's talking about how bad it is, and like when the populations are low and all these servers, and it's like, you know, I'm not just being picky.
Yeah.
Did I share what I thought the Afterlife should have looked like?
I don't think so.
I think the Shadowlands should have been like a limbo,
72
not the Afterlife. and the afterlife is still an unknown. But we're going up to the gate of the unknown, and we're stopping there.
Yeah, so, like, you get to the top of Ouroboros, and, like, you see the Arbiter, and there's the 4 main gates to the zones of the Shadowlands we go to, and there's, like, a dozen or so little gates that we don't know where they go.
Right.
So, like, there's versions of the afterlife that we don't see.
And there's more to it than just this.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like... I've seen people get actually kind of depressed. Like, I'll see people post on the Reddit where it's like, wait, so I've been playing Shadowlands. Does this mean that when my character dies, like, if I'm lucky, I'll become a shovel for someone to use?
Yeah.
Like, I'm really confused. Like, am I a currency? Like, when I die, someone's going to turn me in for a better helm upgrade that they're going to discard?
Is
like,
God real?
It's sort of... It's depressing. Like, someone was asking from a roleplay perspective, what does my character do now that they've seen the afterlife? Because there's, like, this is an existential issue that everything they fought for now has been wrong, and now they know how the afterlife works. You know what? I wanted to bring this up, and we talked for too long, so I'll be brief. But I tend to rate expansions based on how good the roleplay was.
Yeah.
Because that's what I get the most fun out of.
Yeah, that's like your thing.
And Warlords of Draenor, that ranks really high because all that, like, all that content
all the
drought,
downtime,
dude... Yeah. We had our own, like, guild hall custom instance building that all the guilds could, like, set up meetings in.
That's awesome.
It was a great time. So, with Shadowlands, frequently I see, like, forum posts. How does this work? Is there a gate? Like, can people teleport to Shadowlands? Can anyone go? Am I a Mawwalker? My character's staying on Azeroth. Is anyone else going to complain if I don't talk about Shadowlands? Like, when I'm role-playing, and someone says they just came back from Shadowlands, I just call them stupid because I'm a farmer and I don't even believe in that.
Yeah.
Like, it was so hard to RP.
Was it you that had, like, the Worgen priest who, like, thought the Naru were a bunch of bullshit and, like, a made-up psyop, pretty much?
Oh, yeah, no, I used to play a priest who was hyper close-minded and in denial. Like, she was a Worgen, and she believed that her conviction to the light cured her, and that she doesn't turn into a Worgen anymore.
Yeah.
And when she gets angry and claws somebody, she goes on, like, a witch hunt for somebody else.
Like, that's interesting. That's a good way to play, you know, with the fucking... hold on.
Well, it's just, I feel like everybody likes to be, like, the superhero or something, and it's like, no, I like to have flawed characters that are easy to disprove, and then see them, like, try to worm out of it. Because that's a human element that doesn't always get explored. Some people do. But a lot of people are like, I will be the villain, or I will be the hero. And it's like, I want to be complicated.
Yeah, like, roleplay is kind of hard to balance, you know? Like, trying to think about it, like, how would you... if roleplay were a proper part of the game, you have to... You don't have, like, stats or, like, damage numbers to move around. Like, you have to do all that shit with the story. I think the way the game is headed now, or at least, like, the current developer's attitude towards it, they have a way that people want to engage with the story and don't really care about, you know, like, what the rest of the stuff means. Like, we talked about, you know, you're this race, this class, and that should mean something in the context of the game, or the context of the story, rather, and it doesn't, and I think it's sort of the same way here.
Yeah, and I'm actually kind of curious, like, I'm surprised that they're coming out with a new class and they're locking it to one race again.
Yeah, like, when Demon Hunter came out, you know, it makes sense that only Night Elves and Blood Elves would be Demon Hunters.
Yeah, and there was a lot of pushback, even to today, people still complain about it. I didn't think they would ever do that again. So it's like, oh, they're dedicated to this concept, and I think there's a plus and a minus to it that I'm willing to explore.
You know what? I'm going to put my fucking schizo idea out there, because I still think it's great. I think Draenei and Orcs should also be allowed to be Demon Hunters.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't want to see that happen, but I also have no arguments against it.
I think if they were going to commit to opening up the classes, like, to Tauren paladins, like Sunwalkers, they're actually druids, but we just give them the paladin kit and then call it that. They could do that. There are like other vocations within the setting that you could just build out of, a current toolkit. If you recolor the abilities on a class, you change the entire flavor. It's like I think it would be fucking awesome for like paladins to be able to change the color of their abilities to purple. For like if you want to do like a void knight, like you have a shadow priest, why not like a shadow paladin, be like slightly different from a death knight because you use like old god shit instead of death shit.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, well, you're away. For those of you that do not know in the audience, when you're doing a lower Karazhan key, after you complete the opera boss fight, you die, so you death skip the big funny Firelands room. But not a lot of people know that. So when you're in
That's a good tip.
When you're in a +9, don't expect people to know that. Anyways, what were we talking about?
Well, actually, we've been talking for like an hour, so I guess I want to ask, do you have any closing thoughts for Shadowlands before we finally close the book for good?
I think that the guild BLT on Illidan US, Horde, is looking for new members, and they want to expand their roster with some fun gamers. So if you like playing World of Warcraft and you're on Illidan Horde, hit us up. That's it.
That's not about Shadowlands, but that's a good plug.
That's about the only thing I got going on, man.
I gotta say, I like having an open mind. Like when they announce Covenants, it's like, oh, I don't know, this is gonna be bad, but they seem really passionate about it.
Yeah, if I had to break it down, Covenants could have been cooler. Patches were really boring. Bring back tier sets. No more borrowed power systems. Like that's enough. And those are about the only. If Shadowlands happen in like one sit down, then I had to look at the whole thing. That's what I'd have to say about it.
Man, I'm gonna have to do a video on like Bower. Bleh. My vodka's catching up to me.
Oh no.
Borrowed power. Blah, blah, blah. Man, I know. I feel like it's all been said before. But I just think Shadowlands is just it's very underwhelming, and I think everyone's looking forward to it. Just you can never do it now with Chromie Time. You can just turn it off.
Yeah, just ignore it, pretend it's not there, and it's great.
And we're getting real close to that too. I can't wait for Dragonflight. I think I've said it before, but if the only new feature announced for Dragonflight was that you don't have to do Shadowlands anymore, I would have bought it.
Yeah, Shadowlands is going to turn into Outlands, where it's there, nobody fucking talks about it, and maybe if you're lucky, you get a nod and a couple expansions.
I can't wait for Shadowlands time walking, and then like people don't do it.
Yeah, because it's fucking boring, and the raids kind of sucked.
Okay, well, yeah, that was a fun talk. Thanks again for coming, Herchie.
Yeah, you're welcome. If anyone is interested, my name is Herchibald on Illidan US Horde. You can talk to me at any time. I don't know about what, but yeah.
Yeah, and to close out the show, here's my trombone cover of Lament of the Highborn.